This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and this is my weekly Wrestling Observer review. There's a lot of information in this week's Observer, including some 2020 attendance and ratings notes that you people might find interesting. I did an interview with Ted Arcidi today that was live for members, very well received. In the coming weeks, I'll post it in full for everyone here on the Hannibal TV. I'll probably post some clips in the next 24 hours or so. I did a Renee Michelle interview yesterday. That one was excellent, actually. Very nice lady. She's married to Drake Maverick, of course, and she's going to be appearing for SWE February 6th. In Irving, Texas. In WWE news, apparently WrestleMania might be moved from March 28th to April 11th. It's under consideration, but not official. Drew McIntyre tested positive for COVID on January 10th. He's in quarantine right now. He's still expected to appear at the Royal Rumble on January 31st. Unfortunately, Demolition Axe, I recently did a extended shoot interview with Smash, but Demolition Axe, who's 73 now, real name Bill Eadie, he was also known as the Masked Superstar. He also has COVID. So he's one of the seniors that have it. So I'm sure he's going to do just fine. He's a tough guy. Of course, some other news came out this week as far as Instagram earnings. In 2020, Lana earned approximately $626,000 from Instagram ads, and Mandy Rose earned approximately $490,000 from Instagram ads. So that's above their WWE pay, which of course is very good pay. And it doesn't look like they can. I don't know if they can do if Instagram was included in the banned social media or not. I know Cameo was, and what was the other one? Twitch, which, by the way, we're now on Twitch at Great North Wrestling, and this is streaming live on Twitch. We also stream now on our Facebook, the Hannibal TV page. Give us a like. It's ad-free on there. In AAA news, there's no plans to start taping again until February or March, depending on the regulations in Mexico. By then, they only have a Mexican YouTube page right now, no American one. Also, Dark Side of the Ring is going to be doing a show on Johnny Canine, a.k.a. Bruiser Bedlam, who's a criminal. Very controversial character. He's passed away now. They're also doing one on Dynamite Kid. I interviewed his daughter, Bronwyn Billington, about that last week, which you can search up, Dynamite Doll, the Hannibal TV. Jeff Jarrett's lawsuit against Impact and Anthem Entertainment, their parent company, regarding their allegedly stealing his Global Force Wrestling tapes, was settled out of court. A&E is going to do 8 documentaries involved with WWE. I know one of them is Bret Hart, I think, and Dan Croffett, who I interviewed a couple weeks ago in a very well-received interview, is involved in that, and he talked a little bit about it in his interview with me. Raw this week did a 0.55 rating. That was with Ric Flair on the show. SmackDown last week did a 0.56. AEW this week did a 0.3. NXT did a 0.14. Also in AEW news, they have no plans to leave Jacksonville for Dynamite tapings anytime soon. It was also revealed this week, I guess Nick Jackson, I think, had already said he had COVID at some point. But Chris Jericho had COVID in September, which was the same month Lance Archer also tested positive for COVID. Matt Hardy and his wife, Rebby Sky, who may or may not have dated, what's that guy's name? John Moxley in the past, announced she was pregnant again with the family's fourth child, and it's going to be their first girl. So congratulations to them. Les Thatcher, wrestling legend, 80 years old, is battling both pneumonia and COVID-19. So best of luck for him recovering from that. I did attend a seminar with him once, the 2004 Cauliflower Alley Club weekend. Mexico City has banned all sports through at least this weekend, maybe longer than that. Of course, here in Canada, they can still, I guess, have hockey practices and stuff, but wrestling, even in front of no crowd, is banned, including CWE Canada. I interviewed Danny Duggan, who is the owner of CWE, this week. He received a $1,300 fine for trying to do a taping in a closed location for the internet. I think it was last week. So he couldn't make his rent payment last month, he said. He's really struggling. But here in Canada, they want everyone to stay at home, whether they can work from home or not. So if you can't work from home, you're just fucked. They expect you to do nothing and still somehow be able to support yourself, which is absolutely nuts. It's gone crazy here. They're literally handing out fines left, right, and center, and the standard fine seems to be about $1,300. We're locked down for at least another month here in Ontario, and they're calling it extreme lockdowns, which is just sad situation. In Bowling Green, Kentucky, good news for you. The SWE Fury TV show is going to start airing in Bowling Green. That was announced today, which I'll put the graphic up on the screen. They are also on the CW network in Dallas, Fort Worth, also CW 21 in Baton Rouge, and on many different Action Channel networks, as you can see here. And starting this week, they started posting the weekly shows on the SWE Fury YouTube channel as well. So my interviews with SWE Fury talent also appear on the SWE Fury YouTube channel. So check it out. And by the way, there was no mention of this show in the Observer because, as I've said before, they're a very biased publication. But they have the biggest independent show of 2021 coming up, featuring Terry Funk, Mark Henry, Teddy Long, Shaw Guerrero, Tim Storm, Rodney Mack, Jazz, so many stars, Christy Janes Molina, Miranda Gordy, Lacey Von Erich, Mil Mortes, Charlie Haas, the Blood Hunter with Selena De La Renta, the Boogeyman, Davey Boy Smith Jr. But for whatever reason, Meltzer does not want to report on this big show. So to me, that's a load of bullshit. What they did report on that I did find interesting, though, was they did a few reviews of, for instance, the 10 top attended combat sports event of 2020, which I'll say now. New Japan on January 4th, 2020 was number one with about 40,008 fans. WWE's Royal Rumble, January 26th, had 36,000 fans. New Japan's second Wrestle Kingdom show, January 5th, had 30,063 fans. UFC came in at number 4, 19,040 fans at the T-Mobile Arena for Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone. UFC in Houston with John Jones versus Dominic Reyes had 17,041 fans. CMLL had 16,800 fans, making the top 10. As far as the, I believe this is a professional boxing card at AT&T Stadium. There were 16,102 fans, and I'm gonna guess. I'm sorry, I don't even know if this is boxing or MMA, but Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia. That one had 16,000. CMLL making the list again, 16,000 for Mexico City, January 24th, for a big show they had there. And finally, at number 10, 15,211 fans for an ESPN on Fox show. Oh, this was the boxing match between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. 15,210 fans in the U.S. And sorry, there's one more. That was number 9. This is number 10. 15,077 fans. March the 7th in Vegas. Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero. And as far as pay-per-view buy rates, wrestling didn't make the top 10. I'm not going to go through them all. Number 1 was McGregor versus Cerrone. It had 1,300,000 buys. Coming just shy of that was the Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. fight. It had 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. February 22nd was that Wilder versus Fury fight. It had 1.2 million buys. Number 4, 900,000 buys, was Kamaru Usman versus George Masvidal, or Jorge Masvidal, however you say it. 700,000 buys was May the 9th, Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson. Also 700,000 buys, September 27th, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. 500,000 fans for Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. And I'm sorry, I always have a problem with his last name. It was a disappointing 400,000 buys for Daniel Cormier retirement match versus Stipe Miocic. And it went down from there. And then they went on to talk about the health of combat sports heading into 2021. Obviously, WWE and UFC are very healthy due to their TV deals, even though UFC has less mainstream interest these days. They don't do very good ratings, and pay-per-views really depend on what the main events are. WWE, that Meltzer brings up here, they can now completely control the reaction that wrestlers get because they use that fake crowd sound. And even a lot of the times, the crowd in the Thunderdome are reused crowd members. For instance, they'll reuse like a Raw fan reaction for NXT and so forth, according to reports. So it's harder for wrestlers that might not have been wrestlers at WWE as booked to get over. But like, for instance, remember in WCW, Jericho made himself popular and the fans got behind him. And that's what led to his push. You can't really do that in this day and age because there's no live fan reaction. So it's hard to gauge if any of these people that WWE is shoving down our throats are really getting over. I could tell you Drew McDonald, or whatever the hell his last name is, doesn't seem to be getting over. He's the lowest rated champion of all time, but they continue to shove him down our throats. One of the most boring wrestlers of all time, in my opinion, that continuously breaks kayfabe constantly. New Japan has been hurt badly by the pandemic, and every company in Japan is hurting, according to the Wrestling Observer. Mexican wrestling is barely hanging on because it's very much live event based. Same with European wrestling. There's not much going on there. And he even mentions U.S. wrestling independents are barely hanging on, and fails to give SWE Fury a plug, which is actually expanding and doing great. If you actually look at the cards they're putting on, You could argue that they have more star power than Impact, Ring of Honor, MLW, and NWA. If you look at the cards that SWE Fury is putting on, but Meltzer refuses to give them any credit. And of course, they mention here, which is a good point, that with very few independent shows going on in both pro wrestling and MMA, we're going to feel the effects of this in 2 to 3 years, because the new crop of talent isn't getting developed. And even in WWE, the guys getting matches in NXT are the seasoned performers. WWE, as we all know, signs a lot of ex-football players, ex-amateur wrestlers, fitness models, and so forth from scratch. And strongmen like Braun Strowman, he was paid to train. So you're paying these guys to train, but they're not getting any experience in front of live crowds. So 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to have a lot of really green wrestlers, and you're not going to have Goldberg saving you forever, because he's not getting any younger. He's already in his mid-50s, I believe. Undertaker says he's retired. Shawn Michaels, he said he's retired, but he came back once. You never know. But it was kind of sad to see the Shawn Michaels when he was in the ring last time. Triple H comes back here and there, but he was never really that interesting a character. So they might be in some trouble. But that leaves room for companies like SWE to I don't know, give a better go of things, because I like that they are using a lot of the guys that have been overlooked by WWE, and they're going for that hard-hitting Texas-style wrestling. But yeah, it's definitely not a good thing for anyone, I would say, the lack of training grounds for talent. As far as the average ratings for shows, according to this report, Raw in 2020 averaged a 0.51 rating. SmackDown on Fox averaged a 0.6 rating. AEW averaged a 0.36 rating. NXT averaged a 0.17 rating. So remember when everyone used to say Triple H was a genius, and when he takes over WWE from Vince, when Vince dies, it's going to turn around. He can't even average a 0.2 rating for NXT. And Impact rarely discloses their ratings. I haven't heard anything for the last 2 weeks about Impact ratings. When Kenny Omega first came back, they got a 0.08. Then it went to a 0.04. Then it went to a 0.03. And the past few weeks, we haven't got any Impact ratings. So I can only assume they must be really low, or else they'd be putting them out. In UFC news, they are pushing for Usada to no longer test for marijuana. I fully agree with that. It's legal in a lot of states, legal in Canada. I don't really see how it's a performance-enhancing drug, to be honest with you. It's not going to help you to smoke a joint before a fight. It's actually going to be, I would never do it. Put it that way. It would not help your reaction time, I don't think. Although I will admit, when I bounced, sometimes I would take THC drops, just dealing with the idiots. It allowed me to be more relaxed when dealing with idiots and stay more calm. But I don't think I would ever want to be under the influence of marijuana in an athletic contest where the person's trying to knock me out or break my leg or break my arm. I don't think it would be a benefit. There will be a limited number of fans allowed to attend the UFC shows in Abu Dhabi. MMA Power Hour is now airing on the Hannibal TV live Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Make sure you check that out. They have a lot of UFC guests. I mentioned the wrestling athletes that made the top Instagram money earlier with Lana and the other girl whose name I can't remember. I think it was Mandy Rose. As far as MMA fighters, Conor McGregor made $1,415,568 in Instagram money last year. Anthony Joshua made $1,368,379 last year. Honoré Celeste, and I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry. UFC Octagon Girl made $1,281,525 for a ring girl. Wow. And they do have some beauties. Definitely love those ring girls. John Jones was 747,747. So John Jones not fighting as much towards the end of the year. He didn't break $1 million, which is surprising. And we were talking earlier about the popularity of combat sports. That's a fairly low number for Conor McGregor, 1,415,568 from Instagram. When you consider what Lana made, 626,000, and to me, Lana is far less known in the mainstream than McGregor. Thank you, Rec46, for your $1.99 or your £1.99 super sticker. I'm going to go through your comments now, not all of them. Someone's shocked that Drew has COVID-19. Lots of COVID comments. I don't really want to get into that. I hate the situation we're in. What about talks about AEW being TNA? Well, they're not getting anywhere near the ratings that TNA was getting in its prime, the 1.2 ratings that they used to get. Whatever the average was, let's take a look at it again. They only averaged a 0.36. And consider when AEW started, they were getting 0.6. So you can say how great you are all you want. Their popularity is declining. And the product sucks. Alan Kesselman, one of the members here, says Canada is becoming a police state. And he also says Terry Funk is the GOAT. Everyone loves Terry Funk. I've had my run-ins with him, but he's also going to be on the matchmaking committee for SW Fury, which is pretty cool. Tommy from the Bronx, any chance of getting an interview with Don Morocco? I've messaged him. I've had Duke the Dumpster Drosy, who's friends with him, try and message him. I haven't heard anything back. By the way, I'm doing a workout after this, drinking some of my lovely coffee from my The Hannibal TV mug. You could get this or a sweater like this if you go to the Hannibal TV merchandise in the description of this video. And I have to bring up, because of this COVID, I had to spend a fortune on home workout equipment this week, and it really pisses me off. I don't like working out at home, but now I had no choice but to buy all this equipment, and it was not an expense I wanted to spend my money on. Gilbert doesn't even watch wrestling anymore. He says it's sad that shoot interviews are more entertaining than actual wrestling. I agree. I would rather watch a shoot interview or a UFO lecture than any of the TV products. All American Male tips me $5. Thank you. I will put that towards future shoot interview. If I had the cash to start a new big promotion, top 3 or 5 wrestlers, I would enlist. Well, does that include the unsigned or the signed? I'll just say I'll do it from the people that are from both unsigned and signed. I would pick Brock Lesnar. I would pick Goldberg. I would pick the Blood Hunter. I would pick the Blood Hunter's manager, Selena De La Renta, the top manager in wrestling, and the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith Jr. Those would be the top 5 people I would select to get Great North Wrestling going at a top level. And I do already run Great North Wrestling. I am the promoter for Great North Wrestling, and we will be back. Hopefully, if this is not the apocalypse, we're going to be back, and I'm going to put out my own product. For now, I'm covering SWE, and I'm doing this because there's nothing for me to do in Great North Wrestling, and I like a lot of what they're bringing to that company. But I am excited about being able to promote again, or at least even do a taping in a studio at this point with no audience. Barra7331 tips me $5. Thank you. I really appreciate it. When is my interview with Tommy Rich? It's supposed to be this month. Well, he's not really my friend, is he? If you guys watch the interviews that the captain hooks me up with, he always cuts us off. But he's supposed to hook me up with Tommy Rich, also Black Bart and Dutch Mantel. And those ones, because they cost me money, are going to be live to the members first. It helps support this channel. It's only $1.99 a month. I'll eventually put it out for everyone, but I want to try and get the members up, because eventually you guys talk about me being able to put together a dream show or dream events. If I get enough member funding, I'll be able to put on better and better events once we're allowed to do it. Thanks for the biceps. Really appreciate it. Mop Pops. Ivan Santos. Nakamura making a comeback. I always laugh when I see that guy because Sid called him Yakamura. And I'll be honest, I have absolutely zero interest in whatever his name is. Doesn't matter what his name is. I find him boring. Have a great night, everyone. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow, the Cuban Assassin Jr. I'm interviewing at 4 p.m. and I got a ton of interviews next week. So subscribe to this channel and hit get notifications so you don't miss any of them.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates.